Another day living in paradise. If you guys saw the last video, we got the Foxbody on its wheels. It looks much better in this clip with the hood on, and we got to take the hood off. We're going to be working on the Foxbody again today. My name is Nick. You're watching Olsen Auto. Today, working on the Foxbody some more. Got some more parts in, new power steering lines, rag joint for the steering column. Well, that's all I have right now, but we have some other things we can be doing. I do need to get the new rear end in today, so you guys can see right here, have these gross 4-lug wheels. Those are going away. We have another pair of these nice 5 lugs and a whole new rear end with 373s and limited slip, which is exactly what you want. Now, compared to the rear end I have now, you guys can see that rear end is like open, like it's been sitting with no diff cover for a long time. That's not good, that's unacceptable. So we're gonna start the day. I have the other clips uploading because I still haven't edited that video because, well, I'm lazy. We're gonna take the Prelude and we're gonna go get some Dunkin' because I haven't had Dunkin' in a while and I want it. We are also gonna wash this car really quick because it is absolutely disgusting. It's covered in mud because I park in the lawn and then it rains, but it's covered in mud and probably salt, so you gotta wash this real quick too. But yeah, god, this thing's gross. Cold starts on this car are much more anticlimactic now that I have cats in it, or a cat. It's just so quiet and I love it. It's still loud when I'm driving, so it's kind of like quiet when you don't want it to be loud it's quiet when you don't want it to be and loud when you don't want it to be. So I digress. Been doing good so far. It hasn't broken on me much lately. Same with the truck. They've both been doing pretty good. Yeah, we're on a roll. So before the engine can go in the Foxbody, I am waiting on one washer for the passenger side wheel bearing, and I have to tighten this one up a little bit. Besides that, what we're waiting on before the engine and trans can go back in, I want to do the rear end with no engine in because it will probably be easier. The car will just be lighter. So, you know, less to worry about, less in the way, no transmission. Not that that's in the way, but it just seems easier to me while it's already disassembled. So we still have to do the rear end, but that should only take a day. Shouldn't be too bad of a chore for us. We also have to get brake calipers because I don't have any. Power steering lines, bolt a few things into the engine bay. I do have to get a new starter because mine broke because I'm an idiot and I dropped. So we need a new starter. We do have to do brake lines. These ones are all rotted and it's only like 150 bucks to run full stainless, and then maybe another 100 for some flex lines. So it's probably 300 bucks to put a full new brake system in this car, which at that point I'd be stupid not to. Whoever I sell this car to is going to get a very solid Foxbody. So maybe I'll keep it, maybe I'll sell it, I don't know. We'll see on that. But yeah, I want to do the brake lines first because they run up into this strut. Let me take the hood off. Okay, so with the brake lines, they run underneath the booster and like down this crevice, and I can't imagine that's going to be any easier with an engine in the car. It's never going to be easier than it is now, so I'm just trying to do everything that's going to be easy now, and then when I have the engine in, it's whatever, like it won't matter. It's like the power steering rack would probably suck with the engine in the car. Rag joints, brake lines, things like that I'm trying to get done. So I'll probably order those brake lines tonight, and then the brake lines will get done. I need a new proportioning valve, brake lines, flex lines, calipers, and all the mounting hardware for the brakes. And then the engine should be able to go in. Once the engine's in, it's probably a couple days until it runs. The engine ran great, always started right up, had great compression on all 8. I checked it, so you know, like 150, 155 across the board. So it ran good, had good compression. It's just a matter of getting the engine back in. I will mention quickly before we go finish the rest of this video here, if you are selling a Cobra or Mach 1 New Edge Mustang, hit me up. I will trade you this plus cash, or this straight up, whatever you prefer. You know, we could work out a deal depending on the car. I really want to get a Cobra or a Mach 1 New Edge Mustang, so 99 to 04. If it is a 99 Cobra, it better have the horsepower fixed, but just figured I would mention that while we're here. And we have some parts here that might have my address on them. We have a thing and more things. Power steering lines and a rag joint for the steering column because this one is sketchy to say the least. We're gonna pop that one off. We're gonna start with the rag joint, throw the power steering lines on, and then I'm probably gonna start taking out these brake lines because you can see they're suboptimal at best. For those of you that don't know what a rag joint is, essentially at the end of your steering column you have a splined little horseshoe that sits onto your power steering rack, assuming you have a rack and pinion style steering. It'll sit on there, and then as you turn the wheel, it uses those joints, and it goes through this rubber piece, which is very important for comfort and control over the vehicle. And of course you tighten that down, and it basically just allows you to control the car. But one of the main features with these rack joints, as you can see, you got the nice fresh one here, is this big rubber piece. So that absorbs the shock of the road, not only to make it more comfortable to drive, but to make it more controllable. Without this rubber, we do have the problem where every time you hit a bump, if it was solid steel, the wheel would twitch. You would lose control of the car essentially, and especially in, you know, 200-ish horsepower V8, that's not really something you want. So that rubber is going to absorb a lot of the damping from the road. And then we also have the splines so we can actually steer the car. Pretty simple. Let's install it. Junk. I'd say she was shot. Okay, so my steering column was stuck up in there, so I had to use somewhere there's a hammer, hit this ear. Now of course I took the bolts out, was hitting this ear down to pull it back out. Couldn't get both that, which I have to tighten still, and this all together. But column of the rack is bolted back up, so that's good. That is tight and ready to go. That might need to be tightened, but everything is good enough there. Just have to tighten the control arms because those are still loose, but I got to pull this wheel back off, waiting for that washer. Time to throw the power steering lines on. While I'm still waiting for the brake lines, the engine isn't going in. Got the 2 power steering lines tightened up. I'm not putting the engine in until these brake lines are done because they run like here and it's just stupid, but I'm gonna go ahead and we're gonna try to throw the rear end in right now. It shouldn't be too bad. The bolts look decent, so hopefully everything just unbolts. I'm gonna put fluid in the new rear end so I don't have to like pump it up and sit there for 30 minutes while I try to fill it with fluid in the car. So I'm gonna pull the cover off the new rear end. Hope everything looks good in there because I did buy it used. Yeah, gonna pull the cover off while it's out of the truck, drain the oil, or out of the car, drain the oil, and then slap it in, maybe. So rear end is out. I am gonna take the cover off. I'll just buy the motorized pump from Harbor Freight to fill it up. I wanna see what's inside, so I'm gonna see if any of these wanna break free. This one looks questionable, so I'm gonna go for it first. It's already loose. Let me go grab a drain pan and stick it under this. Already better off than I thought we would be. All right. It's not bad looking. Well, just going to double check these numbers on Google, make sure I know what gear ratio we're working with. It's a little rusty, but nothing that won't wear itself off. All right, so taking a look, I ran these numbers. It's a 13:40 ratio, so this is actually a 308, but it still is posi, limited slip diff, whatever you want to call it. You can see the clutches there. So it's a 308 rear end, not perfect, but it's got the 5-lug kit. It's all new brakes, and it's clean. It has a cover on it with decent looking fluid. Compared to what's in there, that's substantially better. So let's drain this out. So one thing I never thought would just break while I was driving, I pulled into my driveway and I heard a noise and dragging, and it looks like my gas tank strap just snapped clean off. So that's how my day's going. All right, so I did not film it, but got some 70-weight-90 GL5, so this theoretically has a friction modifier since of course we have a limited slip. And yeah, so I did that, and then I ran some 90-minute return to service gasket maker. So the idea here is it's a lot easier to just dump the oil in when the rear end is sitting here than pumping it up or having to unbolt the little fill hole and then squirt it in. This is way easier, so did that, siliconed it. That'll be done in about an hour and a half. Going to pull these bolts out here and then start disassembling that and then put it in. There's no bolts holding this in, it's just the jack stand and the pressure from that. So I'm gonna hit it.
Okay, all right, I was gonna say,
Rear ends are moved. All right, so I swapped these over because for some reason this rear end didn't have them. I think we're pretty much ready. Got my new lowering springs in the rear right there. No more of that old garbage. This is one very disassembled Foxbody here, but it's pretty solid under here. There's just a few questionable patches, but I'll be able to fix that hopefully at any point in time. So I guess it's pretty much time to put the new rear end in. And this bug just landed on me. So admittedly, some of those bolts aren't exactly tight in the rear end. Just couldn't get them tight. I just want to get this thing on the ground. I want to go to the gym, so I want to be done for tonight. It's gonna rain at some point. I just want to put stuff away while it's still somewhat bright out, but it's in and tight enough for us to slide this jack under and see how she sits, lowering springs front and rear. As soon as it hits the ground, it will officially be 5 lug swapped. The old rear end, which I put over there, had 273s. These are 308s, so a nice improvement in the 0 to 60 if these tires weren't dry rotted and 35 years old. But let's go ahead. Let's see what she looks like.
She says low. Holy crap.
That is awesome. That thing got tucked right up in there. All right, so this thing sits super low in the back. Now it looks super good. Now, of course, the front end will drop in due time when there's actually an engine in it. But the back sits really good. I imagine when we put the engine in, the whole car is gonna go like that. So it should even it out. But like those wheels mixed with how it looks nice and low now looks awesome. So still so much more work to do, but today was a lot more productive than I thought it would be. I was just expecting the power steering lines and the rag joint. Maybe I was gonna remove the brake lines, but getting that rear end in, the 308s, I thought they were 373s, but I also didn't realize the car came with 273s. So we still got a little more acceleration out of it. Still a limited slip diff, new fluid. Everything looks good in there. Got it bolted in mostly, which is good. I would drive it down the road as is. I'm assuming everything else worked. That rear end is bolted in. Gonna do the brake lines next. That's the next big job because it's never gonna be easier than it is now. But look at all these new lines and everything, the new pump, all the fresh paint, no more rot. Now the new rear end. We are fully 5 lug thugging on the Foxbody. So getting very, very close. Made a lot more progress today than I thought I would. But I'm gonna end this video here. If you guys did like it, I know I've been making a lot of Foxbody videos lately, but that's just been the concern because it's sitting right here in my driveway, so I kind of have to, you know, it's taking up space and it doesn't drive yet, so we got to change that. But if you guys have been liking them, be sure to subscribe. We're getting very, very close to 2,000 subscribers, so you guys know what to do. Go ahead and show your support there. Next video, hopefully, will be brake lines, and I'm going to repaint the engine block. I have some extra paint and torch right there, so we'll be using that. Should go well. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.